What's good, y'all? My name is Dylan Green, and this is Real Notes, a space dedicated to blurring the cultural and artistic lines between rap and film. I'm here to chop it up with everyone from rappers and producers to journalists and video directors about their relationship to movies and how, if at all, film inspires their craft. My guest this week is New Jersey rapper, producer, and DJ Brainorchestra. We spoke about Batman, growing up playing real-time strategy and role-playing games, the Black Cauldron, myths about life in New Jersey, how playing instruments influenced his beatmaking, turning his love of rap into a business, and the creative process behind a handful of his projects, including his latest album, Big Brain. Come fuck with us. What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back. Real Notes it's been back. I don't know why I'm treating it like I'm just starting every time, but like, nah, we're back. We're here. Shit is lit. We're going in. Dylan Green, CineMasai. I do a lot of shit. This is one of those things. It's a brisk day out here in Long Island. I don't know. But you know, we're cooling, and we got somebody super duper fire on the shit today. This guy's a rapper, producer. He's a force out here, son. Rapper, producer, DJ, fucking all sorts of shit. Like just like playing fucking venues, playing people's backyards, and in little what's the word I'm looking for? Oh, gazebos and shit. Like I watched this man do a fucking DJ set from a fucking gazebo over the summer. That shit was crazy. Yeah. But yeah, you know, like businessman, music person, good dude. We got Brainorchestra in the fucking building today. What's good, bro? Thank you for coming on. First and foremost, I appreciate you. Like
I appreciate you. Thank you for the amazing intro.
Nah, we have fun over here, son.
Glad to be here for real.
Oh man, yeah, nah, it's been beautiful to see you doing your thing, especially, you know, like someone from Jersey. I'm from Jersey. I feel like most people know that at this point. Like it's just incredible to see someone from like right around my area, even like more, to be even more specific, just be going crazy the way you've been going crazy. So yeah, just like congrats on everything, because you've been going hard the last like year and a half in particular.
Thank you, bro. Yeah, thank you, bro. It means a lot that you notice that for real.
Yeah, like how could I not? You know, like so yeah, let me ask you the first question I ask everybody who comes on. What was the last movie or TV show you watched that you had a strong opinion about?
Oh man, last movie or TV show that I saw that I have a strong opinion about. Like a good or a bad strong opinion?
Either one.
Um that that Justice League movie. The really long one.
How'd you like?
Shit was long as shit.
Yeah.
But it was interesting to see like that take on on that universe. You know, shit was a little bit more hardcore, and the story was pretty on point. You know what I'm saying? 'Cause I'm a Batman fan. You know, I'm
Right.
Marvel all day, but I fuck with Batman. Like, you know what I'm saying? Respectfully, Batman's the shit. So.
Right.
That movie, it was interesting to see like Batman in such a hardcore, like he always hardcore, but that's like the hardcore you think about, like, oh, he like breaking people's necks and shit. You're like, yeah, like Batman ain't just knocking people out, bro.
Right.
He's putting hands on people.
I'm pretty sure in the original version, I think he killed at least 3 people. Like I think he just like straight kicked people off a roof.
Straight murdered them. I'm like, shit. Like, let's go. This is what it should look like, because that made me think about certain video games. I'm like, damn, imagine like a live action of like a video game like World of Warcraft, like people really getting bodied by magic. Some crazy shit.
And they made a Warcraft movie and it wasn't good. It like it looked cool, but it wasn't good.
It was not good, you know, because I'm when I was younger, you know, my best friend, he played it, so I hopped on for a bit, and it was interesting, you know. So all throughout my life, it was a game that I was like keep my head up to. I'm like, where this shit is one of those that changed everything. But you know, to put it just put it in perspective of like how a movie, you know, could like change the outlook of like that universe. You know, it's not just people getting their ass beat. It's like real life. You know what I mean? So
That's facts. You ever play any of the newer Batman games, like the Arkham games?
yeah, I've played them. Again, my best friend he had them on his PlayStation, so I would pull up sometimes and play that shit when I would go over to his crib, smoke weed and shit. Yeah, those games are sick. You know, they'd like leveled up. You know what I mean? With gaming on those. You know, so
Yeah.
it's really interesting. A good take on Batman and just a great game. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, nah, I liked I think Arkham City. I think that's the second one. Yeah. The second one was always my favorite of the three. Just like I just like the fighting system in particular was just always so dope to me. And like just to see every other action game of the last like decade or like the last like even like yeah, it's been about a decade. Like see just like those three games just did so much to change the way people like make action games like that and Assassin's Creed like Jesus.
no, that's a fact because I think Batman took like what Assassin's Creed was doing, but like took it to another level in the game world, like when it came to Batman. Honestly,
Right. Yeah, because I've been playing I've been running through Ghost of Tsushima, the new game plus joint, and I just like just like seeing the way it feels and like doing like the little parkour running and like the combat, like it's just like this really just feels like the child of fucking Batman and Assassin's Creed. Like
straight up.
this shit is beautiful.
And I've only played that game like 2, 3 times, and it's like it's incredible. Like shit looks so good.
Like
Plays crazy.
yeah, no, I'm fucking with it a lot. I'm trying to beat it before I go back to anything else.
Yeah,
Cause like I got like six more games on deck. Games are becoming like books for me.
yeah, no,
I got like a
for real.
pile of them.
There's so much content that is crazy. I've been playing Divinity, Original Sin 2.
Oh, how's that?
It's fire. It's just like a dope turn-based, like kind of like Dungeons and Dragons situation. But on my off time, I like playing turn-based strategy games like that. It's like super. You got to think like real hard, really like plan. And I've always liked turn-based games. You know, Pokemon, Final Fantasy, and shit. Like as a
Right.
kid. So yeah, that's a game that's like a book. It's like you're going through like a whole story, and there's like hours of shit. Games definitely are on a level like that where it's like you're playing through a long film. Like
Yeah.
basically, it's pretty sick.
Right. I like that a lot. There was I don't really bang with too much turn-based strategy these days, but there was this one game called Valkyria Chronicles that I really I didn't finish it, but it was like a weird mix of like a first person it was like a third person shooter and a real-time strategy game like rolled
Yeah,
into one where like you had like a whole battalion of like you had like a whole battalion of like different people with different skills and everyone would like move across a board and then you like when you get to the space you would like it was
yeah,
crazy.
that's
I liked it
fire.
a
That's
lot.
the time I like. I mean, I'm definitely an MMO RPG dude, but always been. But definitely love a good turn-based game that's gonna get me thinking, like for real, for real.
Right. I always wonder what a Batman MMO would be like. Well, I mean, like they've made like DC Universe MMOs before,
Yeah,
but
but that shit was like whatever.
yeah,
Because I mean, if they gave it like time, they can make it crazy. You know, MMOs with like superheroes are like it just sounds like it would be a given. You know what I mean? It's like
right.
you got so many good NPCs in line. You could make that shit go crazy.
You ever play there was one called City of Heroes that was pretty big back in the day. You ever play
So I
City of
played
Heroes?
City of Villains.
Ah, see, yeah, right. I
Yeah,
forgot
I
that name
played
of City of
City of
Villains.
Heroes a bit, but Villains was crazy because you could do like the bank heists and shit.
Yeah.
And that shit was different. We were like, yo, because at that time, you're like, yo, what the fuck? This shit is crazy. Coming from WoW, you know, like we played vanilla WoW, like old school shit, like
Right.
real hard body MMO shit. So it was interesting at the time to see different versions of that coming out, you know. Now it's
Hmm.
they're like the blueprint. you know. And at that time, people were just trying to keep up. So there were some good games like that that got lost in the mix. Like,
Right. Yeah. Like that whole like I feel like WoW, Diablo, and like StarCraft were kind of like those were the three that everybody was trying to run after for a little bit.
pieces of like the way those games operate is definitely present in like all MMOs. Like, it's pretty crazy.
Right. Yeah, like I just hope they don't do Diablo and StarCraft like they did Warcraft because that movie was just so fucking bad. I'm so
Yeah,
like I remember seeing it. I screened it because I was writing for somebody at the time and I just like saw it for free and I was mad. I like left angry. Like
yeah,
why did you
nah,
do
yeah.
this?
You're watching it and you're like, this is corny as hell because they was trying to. I mean, they were trying to appease to such a big audience.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know, definitely want to see a hardcore Warcraft movie though.
Oh hell yeah.
That'd be OD.
Right. Nah, and like I was even madder because I like the guy who made it. The guy who directed it is I think his name is Duncan Jones. He made two really crazy movies. He made Moon and
Uh,
Source Code.
Source code
Like
is fire.
Source Code is
I've
crazy.
seen that in
Like
a very long time.
yeah, me either, but I remember really enjoying it. And like I saw Moon pretty recently within like the last couple of years again and like to me one of the best sci-fi movies of the last like 20 years. Shit's incredible.
Straight
Everybody
up.
should see Moon. Like
Nah, word. It's funny you bring up sci-fi because the actual movie, the last actual movie I saw, because now that I think about it, you said sci-fi was Gravity,
oh
and I
shit.
watched that movie plenty of times, but it came up, it was on HBO, and I'm like going through shit to see because I couldn't, the COVID shit, I couldn't sleep honestly, like I couldn't go to bed, so
Oh
I
damn.
was like, let me watch a movie. And I saw that. I was like, damn, I haven't seen this in a while. That movie is something different. I think
Yeah.
that's definitely one of my favorite movies, but there's a lot of reasons why, you know.
What are some of those reasons?
Um, the main reason is that like it's like it's a real vulnerable like movie. It really shows like how fucked you would be if you were in space and some shit like that happened, bro. Like I don't think it really, and that shit goes like that shit's like in the first 20 minutes.
Yeah.
Like it turns up. Like they don't even give you a chance. They don't give no backstory. They just like nah. Let's just start it off with some insane shit happening that nobody could really not like. Fucking 99.9% of people can't relate to because it's in space. So that shit, you know, I watch movies like that and I'm like, damn, like this shit is OD because then it makes me think like beyond the character. Like yeah, it's just a movie, but you're thinking about it like damn. Like, how would I think if this shit was happening right now? You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Like, what the fuck would I be thinking about if I got detached from my spaceship and I'm like flipping in, in space? You know?
Yo.
And then it's just a bunch of things in that movie. She gets saved and shit and has like, you know, like all that shit just kind of keeps you on the edge of your seat. Like, damn, like, it's one of those movies where, you know, you watch a movie and sometimes you're like, whatever about it. That's a movie where you're like, yo, I want this motherfucker to make it back. You know what I mean?
I feel
This
you.
lady needs to make it back. Like, she needs to. There's way too much unfortunate shit happening. She got to make it back.
Right.
So, you know,
See,
that was definitely, and, you know, the soundtrack is pretty OD.
yeah, it's
When,
crazy.
when there is music, you know, it's interesting when they decide to add it or not. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like I remember when because I saw that like when it came out in IMAX, which is like to me, I
different,
like I could never watch that shit on a regular screen, bro. Like it's just
different,
like it just ruined it. Like
different.
it's because
You
like
know,
because like it's beautiful to look at and like and like you mentioned the soundtrack, like the sound design is just crazy because obviously
out
like
of this.
there's no yeah like there's no sound in space, so they really play with that a lot and just like and to like seeing like the shit impact the space station and like the meat and like the asteroid explodes
Yeah,
and there's no noise like that
you're
shit is
watching
wild.
it like, oh my goodness. Like I feel like I'm in a spacesuit. Like I'm just like this is this POV. I'm just a part of this shit. Like I'm the
Right.
fly in space watching this shit. Like
And like I got everything you got just from because it was George Clooney and Sandra Bullock. Like I got everything you got from Sandra Bullock's whole character and her situation, like just from
Yeah,
like
and
all the
then George
technical aspects.
and
Like
then George Clooney's funny. Like really, he's always witty. So I remember when I seen it, I was like, what a good role for this character. Like George Clooney, like this guy's a fucking he's so like unintentionally like witty and funny
yeah, he's just like a cowboy in space in this
type
movie.
shit.
Like
I
yeah.
mean, his tone of voice and like what he decides to say, and it also shows you how like important a job like that is because like he's very like his character's very stern onto like what the mission is,
Right.
and he doesn't give you a chance to like think about like what ifs. He's just like, yo, you have to do this shit, or like, you know what I mean. So I was like, yeah, I like this shit. You know what I mean? Because yeah, it just like plays with your head a little bit.
Right. Nah, I like that. Like it's almost like it would like it was like a movie you would watch at like Six Flags or something to me, but they like added a little more story to it to make it
You know,
like
the
a
chair,
movie. Yeah, exactly.
chair shaking and shit.
Yeah.
Shit get all lit. I love
Like
movies like that though. Like movies that people are in like survival mode. Like I've always liked survival mode movies where like that are like kind of psychological. Interstellar,
right.
but that's a whole nother like type of like that shit.
Yeah.
That shit's OD. But it's fucking crazy, you know. And then 47, 46 meters deep or whatever. I don't know if you ever heard of that.
Oh yeah, 47 meters down, the joint where he's in when they're in
Yes.
the Arctic, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
That
yeah.
type of shit, I like that shit because I'm like, this shit could happen.
Right.
Like, I acting like this won't happen to somebody. And that movie, that was just another one where it fucks with your head. Like when the whole movie wraps around, you're like, oh nah. Like these bitches were just tripping the whole time.
Right. You know which one I think my favorite one of those is this movie called Open Water. You ever see Open Water?
Yes.
Yo. Open Water, like for
Very
anybody listening.
serious. Very
Yo.
serious.
So like for anybody who doesn't know, like Open Water is about these two, it's about like I think like a husband and wife or like a couple, something, whatever. Like they're fucking like on some sort of expedition in the sea, and the boat they're with leaves them in the water, and it's just like they like
Yeah, peace.
they just get left, and it's just like them in the water for like I think it's over the course of like a couple of days or maybe like a week or some shit, and just like and like one of them gets right, like one of them gets hypothermia, one of them gets their leg bit off by a shark, and it's just like them in the water. The whole it's like
I pull that up on the tab to watch that after this because that shit is crazy. You're watching it like, oh nah.
that shit really had me scared of being in the ocean for like years, bro. Like,
That's like some
trailer, like
shit. That's like some space shit because we don't know nothing about the sea for real. Like,
right.
and what we do know about at surface level when you're on a boat is fucked anyway. Like by the time you find out what's below, like you're done up.
Right.
Anyway. So it's already scary as shit to take chances like that. But I mean, yo, that is man. Open sea is definitely some scary shit. I've been on a boat, pretty far out to the point where you can't see land.
Yeah, me too.
And you're like, oh nah. Like you feel isolation for real, and you even though in the back of your head you're like, oh, I'm like a mile away, 2 miles away, whatever from land or safety. You just that shit's in the back of your head. You're like, yo, son, like ain't nobody out here, but the tranquility is lit. You know that shit.
Right. Nah, it's like the isolation could be both good and bad, but at the same time, it's a difference between swimming a mile and walking a mile type shit. Like, you know, like it
matters what's going on. Like, you know, we wasn't on an expedition and like that type of shit. You know, we was just like riding around. So
right.
You have a little bit more of a sense of security, but definitely in the back of your head, you like imagine.
Right.
Or what if,
yeah, like how could you not? Like
just get smacked by a whale just out of nowhere.
Yeah, just like the one day that like the giant squid decides to like breach the surface and just pull your ass down. Like
That shit on TikTok and nothing. You need proof. You need
like
you need proof, man.
for real. Like what's it called? So like you like I love the base of like I love the base that you have with film already, especially off the survival mode tip, because those like that's a particular kind of movie that I feel like. Oh wait, there was one more thing I wanted to bring up before I move on. You ever see Hardcore Henry before?
Yes, I have. That shit
Okay,
is interesting.
okay, that's how I know you're my guy. Like I don't know many people who've seen Hardcore Henry.
I
I
have, because when I seen that shit on the trailer on YouTube, I'm like, the first person movie? Like, this
like
is different. Like, this is up my alley. I'm already playing games like this. I'm trying to see this shit in real life. And then when they put it in that like field of view where you know what I mean, his arms is still. I'm just like, this is genius, bro.
this shit was crazy.
He was fucking everybody up. So
Yeah, for real. Like it was on some shit. It was like because I took me and my partner went to go see that in the we saw it at one of the joints in the city at the Empire 25 in Times Square, where they had like the 4D theater. So like
yeah,
seeing Hardcore Henry in 4D with the shaking seats and shit.
different.
Oh my
Yeah, it's
god.
like you're playing a big video game. Like,
Basically.
and you're just OP. You're just bodying everybody for 2 hours.
Right, just like they put on the Queen music, and he's just like kicking people down the escalator. Like I was in heaven for like 2 hours. That shit was beautiful.
Sorry,
Like
well, it literally, my Wi-Fi cut for like 2 seconds. What happened?
oh no, I was just saying that they put on the Queen song and he just like kicked bro down the escalator, and I was just
Yeah, that's what just
like
everybody loses it. Like, yes.
like that was like I wish everybody could have seen that movie the way I saw that movie. It was just
Yeah.
beautiful.
Nah, hell yeah.
Hell yeah. But yeah, like so like for you, like what's the first movie experience you could remember having? Like whether it was like at the theater, like your cousin's house, like a friend's house, like whatever the fuck. Like
Oh,
like what's the earliest memory you have of seeing a movie?
wow, this is a question that I feel like I didn't know needed to be asked, but it would, you know. Bro, on some real shit, watching the movie Kids at like 8 years old.
Oh, at 8 years old, shit.
Yeah, it was rough. Basically, me and my older brother, we you know, when we were young, like babies, until like five-ish years old, we would get babysat or taken care of by like this family friend that just took care of a lot of people's kids that we knew, because like being Portuguese in Jersey, right? There's like certain areas where like a lot of Portuguese people just know each other,
That's a
just
fact.
because of like, you know what I mean? Just because of like family or area. And it's just like anything, any other culture, like you're gonna find you're gonna find your people, your tribe, and end up politicking and shit. So this one lady was just cool with mad people. She knew my parents. Her husband was my dad's homie at one point. So they took care of us and shit like that. And after a while, we got like we're best friends with their kids because it was like the same age bracket. But they had like an older sibling, who's like a couple years older than my brother. So we would just be chilling at their house playing like Virtual Fighter on PlayStation 2 and shit, like bugging. You know what I'm saying? We were like
Already.
childhood friends type shit, and we just always shenanigans together. So we stole, their older brother's VHS of Kids. R.I.P. my boy Drigo. Yeah, we took his VHS and watched that shit, and it was just really crazy. And I think as at 8 years old, like at the time of watching it, I'm sure I was like, oh, this shit is nuts, like whatever. I can't remember all the way that back sometimes with certain
Right.
events. It's more like brown spots. Like I remember the scene I could remember watching with my brother and Brian and Steven, those were the two homies, was the legless dude on the skateboard, and asking
Mm.
for change. Like I vividly remember that scene. and the scene of them fighting and shit. So yeah, that was like my first real like, whoa, like this is a film, like what the fuck? You know what I
Damn.
mean?
Well,
Like
you
this,
know, like no, sorry. What you say?
like this is like a movie, damn, like you know what I'm saying? What the fuck? So now I'm older, I'm like, yo, we were fucked up for watching that. We were fucked up for watching that shit.
Yo, yeah, like
Damn, grew up fast as hell after that shit.
yeah, because I was about to say, like, the fact that you walked away only remembering the fight scene and shit, like I was like, damn, like I'm happy that's all you could remember, because like
No,
the rest of that
I'm sure what I saw like affected me growing up.
right,
From
probably. Yeah.
right, but yeah, from what I can remember as an adult, it's like just scenes. But now that I think about it, I'm like, damn, we really was like 11, 12 years old. We already fucking knew a bunch of shit we wasn't supposed to know about, doing shit we wasn't supposed to be doing. So
Right. Yeah, I'm trying to remember, how old was I when I first saw Kids? I must have been somewhere between like 13 and 16 years old when I first saw Kids.
yeah,
And
and that's what
like,
I'm gonna be real. That's sorry, it might sound controversial. That's a great age to watch that film. All
oh
right, you
hell yeah. No, I
watch
agree.
that shit and like set you straight, bro. You watch. Damn, I ain't trying to pull a Casper on nobody. This shit is
Like
crazy.
hell no.
Because there's sick fucks out there, you know.
Oh hell yeah. Nah,
Yeah,
like that
shit.
was
Like I've seen the predatory shit. So like in high school, you see, and you just remember that movie. Like, damn, they was not lying. Like shit is fucking crazy. Like
yeah.
especially urban environment. I know that was New York, but you know Elizabeth, Newark. Like it's kind of like those hubs kind of carry that city life weight of just living in a city. You know, like
Right.
so.
Right. And I feel like that's one thing, like real quick sidebar. That's one thing people don't I feel like that's one thing people don't get about Jersey, you know? Like people think that most of Jersey is just like all suburbs, and like even like in the suburbs there's like little like mini hoods depending on where you're at. And then
Where
like and then
you're
like
at,
and
yeah.
like and then like never mind places like Elizabeth and Newark, like you know, like that's a whole different conversation, it
Yeah, like
seems.
y'all not gonna go to East Orange suburbs, bro. Like
Like come on. Son.
that's just a fact. You're not gonna go to South Ward, Newark, like suburbs by the looks of it, but not by the actions of it. Like you know what I'm saying? Like
Right. Like
it's really like I was talking earlier about this with someone that like just like hubs are very important. I actually was talking to a bunch of people while it was happening, but like the hubs of where you're from and especially a city like that, it's important. Like especially Jersey, you know, like musically, you know, Jersey club and just cultural balance in general. It's really something that people don't see, you know. And of course, South Jersey beaches and shit, you know what I mean? But
right,
they
yeah.
don't even know the experience of being in like a city like Elizabeth or Newark. Like you go past Broadway, people wonder why the fuck you out there in Edison or whatever.
Right.
I'm like, bro, it's like 20 minutes away, but it's like real different when people aren't growing, and it's just conditioning, you know, and certain conditions of what a city is, you know, the school system, like the policing system, the
Yeah.
employment, like all of that shit, you know. So
Right. Cause like
I'm Jersey as hell, but I learned everything in North Jersey. You know, I went to South Jersey to fucking tan and eat some fucking cotton candy on a boardwalk and shit. Like
right.
I ain't never seen a situation happen like the way I would out around our way, you know?
Uh-huh. Totally. Like, you know, like and even going to a place like Montclair where I'm from, like, you know, like I was yeah, like just like so Montclair is like relatively one of the more nicer places in our area, but there's but like they got cuts out in Montclair
Oh
that
yeah, the
people
pockets in
don't be
Montclair,
yeah.
like don't get caught slipping. Any pocket in any city in North Jersey, like just do not get slipping. Okay, caught slipping because there's certain
Right.
areas you're just not supposed to be at. Like
Yeah, facts.
in every city, Montclair, Rawway, even Rawway. Like people be trying to
Yeah.
shit on Rawway. There's parts of Rawway where you're not gonna find me. Linden or
Mm-mm.
nah, Roselle. Like no. And Roselle, that's a prime example You know, and I got hella homies in Roselle. I be in Roselle, but not like, you know what I'm saying? I don't be out there type shit because that's a
Right,
suburb
right,
where you turn on the wrong block and you in the wrong suburb, my boy. Like it's real different out there, you know? Like,
right. And yeah, like the only reason I bring up Montclair is because even in a town that's like relatively as nice as it is, like there's like it's divided into sections like most towns are. And like I spent most of my time living on South End, and like and like for the school, like like you mentioned the school systems and shit. Like we had a magnet school system, so you could go to whatever school you want depending on what you want from the school.
yeah,
But and then like everybody met at the high school, but like they would not send they wouldn't send like the charter, like the cheese buses. They wouldn't send cheese buses to the South End. So like my
yeah.
parents, so like you either had to hop that NJ Transit, you had to get a ride from a parent, or you're walking to school, son. Like it's one of those three things.
I was telling people like what, like, you know, I used to live in downtown Elizabeth, and then my parents moved towards Elmora Hills by Elmora. They bought a crib and shit. But majority of schools in Elizabeth, high schools, middle schools, are in like the smack middle of urban areas, like Elizabeth Avenue, by the train station, downtown. So like walking home, like yeah, we ain't have a. They was not giving no bus for Elizabeth High School. You wild. It's like 10,000, 20,000 kids, like so many
Right.
students. They do not have buses for that shit. They barely got buses for the young kids.
Right.
That
Like
walk home, that was like saying like yeah,
yeah,
whatever.
yeah, because like Montclair High, I graduated with a class of 5,000 kids, you know, like
Hey, yeah,
and yeah, like they just started sending buses, like high school buses to like to like me and like Kyle, like shout out to Kyle, like me and Kyle's area,
yeah, 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 yeah,
like we got no buses as kids. Like, and like I was lucky enough to like have one of my parents around to drive me in the morning, but like usually we walk home. It would be like me, the homie Spencer, the homie Kyle, the homie Solomon. Like shout out to all the homies, like shout out to Jairus, all of us. Like we would walk from the high school back to the South End like every day.
yeah.
Like that
Shit's
was the
like it's
reality
like
of it.
it's
Like
like Newark too. Like Newark's like certain areas got a nice school system and shit like that, buses, and then 90% of the rest of it is like people gotta walk to school, get rides, like all this other shit. Yeah.
yeah, like I'm happy it got fixed, but like come on, yo, like we were really like
Struggling.
like yeah, people yeah, like I remember going, like I would go to school with like my parents would give me money for the bus tickets. You just go and get the sheets of NJ Transit bus tickets every day.
Facts. It's
Like
just like there you go.
and I always wonder, like, what are you doing with our bus ticket money? Like, what's that going towards? Like, you just like go to some like room and just like, here's the tickets. Like,
You was really flexing with the yearly pass.
I never had the yearly pass. That's crazy.
I would get months. I would get months pass in sometimes when I would need to.
That's
But never
fire.
yearly pass.
Well, that was like, I'm happy. We just had a little Jersey detour there. That made me smile. um, what's it called? But like you mentioned, like you kind of mentioned that kids had you thinking about shit different, and like not even just like in general, like in life terms, but even in like movie terms. Like, were there any like as you got older, were there any other movies that kind of made you like really stop and think about like this is a film in a way that like kids did, or like was there anything that like yeah, I just asked the question. Yeah, I'm talking too much.
No, you're good. You're good. Truman Show
Good
was
choice.
definitely one of those like where you're like, damn, like this is a fucked up movie. Like on the lowest of keys, like this shit is kind of crazy, man, son. Um, and what other movies? The Black Cauldron, real rare
Oh
Disney.
shit.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I'm
Yeah,
talking
bro.
about? Oh yeah, bro, that shit. Yeah, they were tweaking. That, that movie almost put Disney out of business.
Yeah, because it made like no money and they invested so much into it.
It was like,
Like,
what was it? When was that shit made? Like the '60s or the '70s, and it was like one of the biggest budgets ever on animation at the time. Like an insane amount of money. but
It
it
was
looks
right. Like it was I think it was like the mid 70s to early 80s cuz like
yeah,
could
it was like the early '70s, like when they were pushing that animation heavy, like when it
right.
was starting to become like the Disney staple. Like, oh, I like. So I remember, I watched a remastered version of like the VHS, and I was like, this is like very crazy. Like they snapped on this shit,
I've been
and
meaning to
it's
run that back
a
up.
fucked up movie. It's
Yeah,
not a children's movie.
The Horned King is terrifying.
This guy's
Like
a savage. I always wanted to get him tatted. When I got older, I'm like, I want this dude tatted because he was such a savage. Like, he was the most savage Disney villain, one of them. Like,
yeah,
I knew shit wasn't a game when I watched it when I was older. Because I only noticed, you only notice the real side of shit when you're old. Like, when you're a kid,
right.
when they when he like spills the green fog and then the people who are dead turn to like undead, or he like raises like undead like zombie soldiers, and I'm like, this shit's scary, son. You don't show this shit to a 6-year-old. Like, motherfucker's about to start crying. I was
Yo,
built different. My parents were just like, oh, Disney? All right, boom. Like,
right.
I have the VHS, dude. I have like a box, a huge box of like all the VHS movies that I owned as a kid, which is crazy because a lot of the shit that I owned as a kid I can't find or it broke, or you know what I'm saying?
Right. Oh, that's so hard.
Someone threw it out accidentally. So, but I have like a huge box with mad VHSs in it of just mad Disney and like just shit like that, Nickelodeon shit. You know what I mean?
Right. Man, I'm so mad I don't have all cuz like I had a whole collection of Disney and like the orange Nick tapes and shit. Like
Yeah.
that
By the
was
time, bro, by the time you like on in like you older, like you have so many, you're like, damn, I got their whole collection on VHS. And them shit
like
like mint condition because they were in a box in my attic forever.
that's beautiful. Wow.
Oh wow.
But what's it called? So so like when so like as a kid I saw the Black Cauldron. I didn't like, I don't know why, but I was like, this isn't all that great. I don't know what I was on, but like I've been talking to my partner about it a lot recently, and they were just like, yo, yeah, like they were just like, yo, like the Black Cauldron was like my favorite Disney movie as a kid. And I was like, word, like really? And like I went back and like I've been watching a bunch of YouTube like series that like kind of dive into like the creation of it and the
Yeah.
history of it. And like I really just grew a whole new appreciation for the Black, like I want to watch it again, but like it's not even on Disney Plus. That was like one of the like 6 movies they didn't put on Disney Plus. And like I want to
Yeah.
run that shit up again.
They
Like
changed the game with that shit, honestly. That's what I'm saying. Like when you think about it in perspective in like a creative sense, you're like, yo, they really slapped the world with this fucking movie. And motherfuckers really didn't appreciate it back then. But when you
mm-hmm.
think about it historically, you're like, God damn, like the work that was put into this movie is admirable as hell. Because it wasn't on a computer. Like they was drawing that shit. You
Right.
watch that shit, you're like, damn.
And you know what? And you know what's crazy? It the Black Cauldron actually had one of the first examples of like computer generated imagery in a movie ever
Wasn't it
in
with
it.
like the blast, like the huge blast that they did, and certain scenes they did it for, right?
It's
Or
it's
was it for the whole movie?
it wasn't. So it was like 5 seconds in they're floating through the sewer. Remember that boat they hop in when they're floating through like the muck and shit?
Yeah.
That boat was made on a computer. That's the only thing in the movie that was made on a computer.
Really?
Yeah, I'm gonna send you a video that like explains the whole shit. It's super dope. I forget who made it, but like somebody did like a whole history of the Black Cauldron.
That's
Like,
great. No, please send me that.
yeah, nah. And
Oh,
one,
when they sacrifice Gurgi,
yeah, like what
like I tried to look it up real quick to have it. And I'm like, why they do it to this man, yo? Like, bro, R.I.P. my boy. They say, yeah, you gotta
no,
go, my boy. Yo,
no,
bruh. Yo,
son.
that just fucked me up. Like, yo, watch that movie. That shit is it's shocking that they promoted that as a children's movie.
Right. And there was another video. So like in Tokyo Disneyland, like like so like in most of the Disney worlds, like Cinderella's castle isn't, they don't have like a ride or an attraction in it. It's just like the
Only in
castle.
Japan?
So oh yeah, only so like in Japan they had this thing called it was like it was like some sort of like walk through ride that was like a, I forget the it was like the magical castle mystery tour or some shit, and like it was dedicated to all the Disney villains. Like they trap you in the castle and you have to like and like you get guided through by like one of the cast members, and like at the end is like this big ass animatronic of the Horn King over a cauldron, and like the shit is OD, son. Like
That exists?
not anymore. It was open for like, I think for like a decade or maybe like 15 years. Like I think it closed in like the early 2000s, but
Wow.
like it was like it's another video. I'll send it to you later. But like it's like, but it's the only example of the Black Cauldron being used in a Disney park ever, and
Yeah.
like
Okay. Yeah. So someone told me something about this, but I not like to the exact terms. They were just like, "Yo, like they had a ride for Black Cauldron in Japan." I can't remember who I was talking to. It had to be one of my best friends. But that's crazy. Now that you bring
right
it to life fully, because that sounds insane. I would love
like
to see that, bruh.
yeah, nah, like it was called the Cinderella Castle Mystery Tour,
Mm.
and like yeah, it was, yeah, it closed like years ago, but yeah, like that, yeah, it's like the Horn King is in it, and like they give a kid in the crowd a sword, and they let the kid point the sword at him and take him down and shit. It
That's
was
crazy.
yeah, nah, they really go crazy over there sometimes, like.
That's incredible.
But nah, I'm gonna send you both those videos later, because yeah, like yeah, like I've been meaning to rewatch the Black Cauldron. I was sleeping on it as a kid. Like
Yeah, please.
so um so on so let's jump to the other side and talk about you coming up with music. Like when did you first fall in love? It doesn't even have to be specifically rap. It can be if you want, but like when did you first like start to notice music as a thing that was more than just like a casual, like, oh, it's just music playing? Like when did it first really grab you?
When in middle school, when I started just playing with my homie's drum set, um, because he actually introduced me to the machine. My boy Frankie, shouts to him, man. That's my guy. But at that time, it's like I already had did like classes over time in school sometimes for different instruments to like not be in certain classes and shit like that, and already diving into it. But once I was like in my homie's basement with the drum set and the machine and just learning shit, and that was the first time I ever seen a drum machine type, like kind of like an MPC, but with the computer. And that shit blew my mind where I was like, oh, I like this is a whole nother level of like of this part of like hip hop music. So when I started like playing with the drum machine, or the machine, actually, I'm sorry, I keep saying, when I started playing with a machine as controller, that's like when I was like, oh, this is what the MPC is like. This is based off the MPC. This is the shit that this guy was using. Like then I started doing my research, and some stuff like that. Being in my homie's basement, playing video games, making music and shit, was like when I really seen it. Because of that controller.
Right. Did you let like at that time, were you like making shit or just kind of like playing around on it and like figuring it out, or just kind of just like marveling at it?
I was already making beats on FL. I already knew like the basis of like what making beats is. Drums, sample. I wasn't that good, you know, for being honest, but
Right.
it definitely blew my mind to see like that piece of equipment hit me like through a friend that I respected and made music with, like so I was like, oh shit, like, once I learned how to use it, I was like, oh, this is crazy, At first I was like, oh man, hyped up, like 15 years old, like, oh, this shit
Yeah.
is crazy, yo. Like, oh, you playing the drums on it? Like, what the fuck? Like, just freaking out, you know what I mean? Really unlocked my brain, like, damn, like this shit is a different side of music. And, I was used to like being in classes playing a trumpet, or I played violin and shit, and snare drum and dumb shit like that.
Right.
But once I got to middle school with the homies, and he had an actual like setup in his basement, other homies would come by with like bass guitar and just dumb shit like that. So I was just playing around with shit, you know what I mean? Like, so that drum machine, along with that, that experience about being around my friends and bullshitting, is what really unlocked like, oh, like this is something I want to do.
Right. Yeah, like like that's such an important thing to touch on, because like so many people kind of first got that first hit from like playing music at like school, or like taking lessons or whatever, like I played piano, and I played a little violin, and I played djembe. I was a part of my school's West African drum club. Shout out to Mr. Taylor if you're out there anywhere. But like, like it's like, thank you. Like so many people start there, and then like you find something that's like, because like I'm just thinking about this now that you said it, like, like you're like, we're so used to seeing these like you think about music, especially somebody who plays,
Yeah,
like you kind of like compartmentalize it by instrument, right? And like sampling with a machine is just like taking all those parts and just like rearranging them on some collage shit.
yeah, that's what it
And
made me
like,
realize. Like, I was,
right.
oh, like every group. Oh, so this group I'm doing the drums on it. This is the sample, but like, what if I like, eventually, years later, I started getting to the point where I was like, oh shit, like, oh, this got some keys and bass. Like, let me try to add a horn sample on it, because like
Right.
playing music just made me realize that like, one thing I learned early with playing music in school, because I didn't do it. I didn't really do it because I wanted to. I just didn't want to be in other classes,
Right.
and that was the funniest shit that you
I
could
feel
do.
that.
So I'm like, fuck it. But I enjoyed music already. That was a given. So that just kind of unconsciously fueled my understanding to like, what music is and the importance of certain instruments and what they do. Because at that age, I was like, oh, like, I'm playing this type of violin. They're playing like a cello. Like, there's different pieces to this shit. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It made me think about music way differently. When I was in
Right.
music class in high school, I was just always like bugged out with my ideas and thoughts with the teacher and shit. Because she would just be like, the way you think about music is crazy. Like, me and my homie Rob, we made beats. So she used to just laugh at the way we would think about music, because we were like sample driven. We weren't fucking pianists, you know what I mean? Like,
Right.
in piano class, we were like, yo, we're trying to make beats, like, but yeah.
Yeah, you were the orchestra, like you were the orchestra.
Yeah, I feel like aside from the the whole like meaning of the name being, like we think about our ideas and our concepts and we piece it together in our mind before we take action. It's like that's like a funny kind of way that I look at it too. Like, I played so many instruments throughout my life and never stuck with them, but I understand what they all do. Like, and I
Right.
could display that in a different art form, so, or a different way musically. You know what I'm saying? So
Right. Yeah. I always love that about your name. Just like the idea of like brain orchestra is just like, that's just cool as hell. Like even without the deeper meaning, it just like sounds ill, like fucking like brain, like who else? Like brain orchestra? Like what the fuck?
yeah, thank you, bro.
Nah, of course. So like as you're growing up, and you have this basis with the beats, and this basis with the movies and the music and everything, like was there ever a point, like when did you like was there ever a point where you consciously linked film and music together in your head and kind of saw them as two things that like complement each other?
Oh yeah. I can't tell you the exact Well, actually, no. I could tell you the exact movie that made me realize that. What's that one movie? No Country for Old Men or something?
Yeah,
No,
the Coen Brothers joint. Yeah, no, yeah,
right,
it's that. No Country for Old Men.
right. There's no music in that film at all.
Wow, there isn't.
There's
Oh
no,
shit.
there's no music. There's nothing. It's just
Wow.
the sound of the movie. And
Damn.
that I mean more. I mean, be real. I made that connection of media, more so media and audio, audio and other types of media being connected through video games. Just through hearing like singing back a tune like a Street Fighter tune to a homie bullshit like
Mm-hmm.
or whatever the fuck like. So I realized like that's the effect that I was like, oh shit, like music, this shit is crazy because then you're playing video games and that shit like really like opens your mind. But movie
Oh
wise, yeah,
yeah.
that movie definitely was like um definitely like some crazy shit like just like no music and then you really what gotta have to watch it because like
Right.
music carries a lot of the mood that's going on. You're watching a fight scene, there's some excited, if it's like a shooter, it's like some rock shit. If it's like the Avengers, like some orchestral shit. Or you know what I mean? If it's some sci-fi shit, it's like some orchestra sci-fi shit. Like those things we pay attention to, even unconsciously. And that's like you might not be looking at the screen, but you're like, oh shit, like it's about to get lit. Like because there's a
Yeah.
that
It's a
movie
cue. Yeah. No.
like a cue. So you're watching this, this film with with no audio in it. Oh, I mean, sorry, with no fucking music in it, and you pay attention to it differently. In turn, it makes you pay attention to movies with music differently. You know, so
See.
that definitely fucked me up when I watched it. I'm like halfway through, I'm like, there's no music in this shit. I'm like, this is crazy. I'm like, I'm really paying attention to this shit. Like a hot dog.
That's crazy. Yeah, you see, like I haven't seen it in so long that I didn't even think about the fact that there's no score, and I just looked it up, and like I looked up the Wikipedia page, and there's no like composer or
Yeah,
like anything like that. I was like, wow, like, and yeah, like that's because I want to talk about the video game thing too because that's a big thing for me too. But like, shit, I really like I can't believe until just this second when you brought it up. There's no music in that fucking movie. That's
yeah.
so crazy. Like,
And when you
wow.
it turns, psychologically, it changes the acting and how you're viewing the character. Shit is real serious. Like you're watching that movie and it's like this shit is a serious film. Like they really nailed it on the head to make this shit some unforgiving serious shit.
Yeah.
You're watching it and you're like, yo, this motherfucker's on a mission. No music. Like he really in his bag. Like
Right. Punching holes in people's heads with the air gun
yeah,
and shit. Like,
when he goes to the when he goes to the motel and like the dude flies back like he shoots him once and it's just like he flies like 4 feet. No music though, so you're just like, damn, you feel like you're there. Like shit, it makes you hear it like the way it would be if you were in a room like that. And I always look at movies
right.
like that's really deep, but I always think about that, especially like horror movies. Like
Mm-hmm.
yeah,
Yeah.
not to stray away from what you were saying, but
No. It's all good. Like like we're having a conversation. I love this. Like,
uh, horror movies do that too. Like I always think about it, like yo, if I was in that position, like I'd probably be doing the same shit. Like we talk all
right.
this shit, like I'd be scared as hell.
Yeah, bro. It makes it makes it hyper real. Like it really like goes hard on the realism because like there's no music in real life. Like and that
You got the
yeah.
soundtrack playing for you, and that's choice. So
Right.
that makes the movie that much better. He decided not to have a score. It's just like really, it's just like I commend that as a fucking musician. I'm like I could appreciate this shit because it really makes you pay attention to it.
Right. Right. But even on the flip when you were talking about like how yeah, just like music and games in particular, like even like you could go from something like the Guile theme song right? And just like seeing people like remix like the Guile theme song and like the legacy that has and like
Gold,
how it just
GoldenEye theme, like
right, son, like how that like that shit puts you in like it doesn't even just put you in the zone. It's like you hear a noise and like boom, you're immediately there. You know what it is.
yeah. It's funny.
Like
The other day I was on YouTube and on my suggested was like the uncompressed like master of the GoldenEye theme, and you know me, I got the setup, yo. I fucking nobody was in the crib. I fucking blasted that shit because I was like, yo, this shit probably sounds so crazy. But then
yo,
you hear it and you're like, man, this shit really gave. Like I'm listening to it and I felt like I was sitting down, you know, with the fucking box TV, like playing that shit. Like, yo, this song like really holds weight to theme and like feeling. You know, of like what's going on in the game. Like you hear this shit, you're like, yeah, this is GoldenEye right here. Specifically 007 GoldenEye, like it's
right.
real badass right there. You know, it hits on Donkey Kong Country and Underwater.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like classic shit
Yo,
like that.
I just had that moment yesterday because somebody reposted the underwater music from Mario 64, which to me is like that yeah, that's just like standard shit for me. I'll like listen to that and just like vibe and like when I
They really,
ran through what'd you
they
say?
really, they really snapped on that shit.
Yo, for real. And like and like it made me think about like Sonic the Hedgehog and shit too, because like because the music in Sonic games always fucking went crazy. Like always. Like I played through the new one, or the newer one, Sonic Mania, the 2D shit. Like the music they put together on Sonic Mania is just like I listen to it on its own. It's so just it's just rare type
Would you,
shit. Like, oh god.
would you say that's one of your favorite gaming soundtracks?
Probably one of my favorite modern ones. Yeah.
Nah, yeah,
But
for
like
that shit does go crazy. Metroid Prime,
Metroid Prime goes crazy. Yep.
Custom Robo. I don't know if you know about Custom Robo.
I know about Custom
That's a
Robo. Yeah.
deep cut, deep GameCube cut.
Right.
The soundtrack on that is so good. Like it's like electronic, like dance music. It's so good. Like
Yeah.
I have an emulator on my PC just because I was playing the theme in my head one day, and I was like, where is this from? Like, where is this from? Where is this from? Where is this from? And
Right.
you know, time passes. I download Custom Robo, and the fucking song plays in like that little arena in the starting mode, and I
Yep.
was like, oh my goodness! Download. I ended up downloading the whole soundtrack. 'Cause I'm like, this shit is amazing.
Ugh. See, I feel that way about the Jet Set Radio Future soundtrack. Cause like, yo, like
I saw the Dreamcast one time. I'm saying.
yo, like,
I played
yeah,
that
like,
on Dreamcast in Portugal, and that soundtrack is yeah
did
stuck.
you play? Did you play the Xbox version? Cause like the Xbox version was the soundtrack that I was that's like that might be my favorite game of all time. That's not like your standard choice and shit.
Played the Xbox version a couple times, but I was exposed to Jet Set Radio in Portugal on Dreamcast,
Right.
and man, that was such a sick soundtrack to me. Like, and just the concept of the game was crazy. That soundtrack made the game like so much crazier. Like,
Yeah, yeah, and it's just like added to like the DJ like warriors on rollerblades type atmosphere, like like it's just it just gets me every time. That and you want to talk about like techno shit? Somebody I was scrolling through TikTok yesterday and somebody posted. You ever play Fusion Frenzy? This is an Xbox deep cut.
yeah, yes, where you could be in like the Wheel of Death thing, like the ball, and then yeah, that was some shit that we abused on everything. That game was so good. It's like Xbox's Mario Party in a way.
Yeah, really, like for real. Like, and there was that one little game that was like you running up the tower, and like if you and like you either had to like duck down or like jump over the hump, and like the music in that like the music in Fusion Frenzy went stupid crazy. Like
Snapped, and that was like wasn't that like a free game you got with an Xbox sometimes?
it might have been. I didn't own it. I played it over at the homie's house when we were younger.
I
But
remember homie bought it. He said like, yeah, this is like some shit they gave with the Xbox. It might have been like a bundle thing, like Fusion
mhm.
Frenzy, and with the Xbox and shit like that.
Right. But either way, like just like the shit just goes, man.
So different.
And then oh yeah, now I'm thinking about it. I'm assuming. Well, first off, shout out to Rhythm Roulette. I hope they bring it back soon. You remember Oh No's episode where he went to the game store and bought the games and
Different.
like
Flipped N64 songs like that shit. That is not a movie, but that's a piece of media that also changed like my whole like thing about how music could be just interpreted.
nah, same. Like that was like that was like a watershed moment for me watching him. Like, cause it was like a WCW New World Order game, and like
Oh my god, I was like, this guy is a lunatic, bro.
yeah, and then he grabbed like the Cruising City USA shit. Like, I was like,
You're a fucking lunatic.
showing your ass right now for no reason.
Wow, when he did that, I was like, nah. There, I was like, this is different. Like we could sit here and get inspired all day, but that's different. Like trying that, like you better be ready to really take that on because that was
Right.
crazy. Like it was impressive as a producer, like tying both worlds in, and I was like, fuck, this is different. This is different.
Mhm. Yeah, that one and Tony Seltzer sampling off the cassettes was super dope too. Like,
Yeah, Tony Seltzer is different, bro.
yeah, he's really that one, honestly. Like shout out to Seltzer for real.
Yeah.
God damn. So wow, we really covered so much ground, and I haven't even asked you like half the shit I was planning on asking you. Shit. What's it called? So yeah, like clearly you started out with like production in mind, but like when did you first decide that you wanted to like go beyond and like start rapping too? Or was that a thing you were doing at the time too?
Yeah, I was gonna say rapping kind of came. Rapping came first. I was
Okay, okay.
I mean, that was in the midst and after of like playing instruments and classes and shit. We definitely rapped before anything. That was, the vocal instruments, the first instrument you got. You get that shit, like you have that shit on you at all times. So,
Right. You're born with
me and
that.
Elizabeth rapping shit like that was very, just a thing that everybody fucked with, like everybody liked rap, everybody fucked with all types of rap. So that was really the first thing. And then making beats in middle school, into high school is when I got really into like beats and stuck with beats for a while. Cause I mean, rap was cool, but I enjoyed the feeling that I got from making beats. And I feel like I was a lot more inclined, to do it. Like I was like, I make beats. I'm learning way faster producing music, and I'm not my writing. It's not the way I want it to be. This, that, and the third. And then eventually when I got to a point of making very good beats, and my homies would rap and be at the studio, and I would freestyle and bullshit sometimes. Eventually, like they would tell me like, "Yo, you gotta start doing this shit again." Like, so I was a lot older, not a lot older, but older and experienced more life and shit. So I was like, all right, like let me give it another test. And the reception was pretty fire, like when I listen back to like from the 908 and shit, I love that project, but to me it's just such a baby project compared to like the way I'm on my shit now. So
Right.
but it's cool to do the balance. I'm glad that balance like works both ways, like people who like beats like raps, So.
Right. And nah, I'm happy you bring that up because I'm all like I always think about this when it comes to like rapper producers in particular, and like for you, like do you like since you were saying that you didn't really feel like the raps were where you wanted them to be at that time, and like you really kind of got more from beat making, like as you got older and you really started to pick up the pen more often, like was it like do you feel like producing kind of helped the way you rapped, and like or like not even helped, but just like do you feel like there's a sort of like symbiotic relationship between the way you produce and rap? Like, do they like complement or like relate to each other at all? Or are they like two completely separate things that you do?
Nah, they definitely relate to each other. I feel like once I understood, because that's where I didn't understand, like when I unconsciously understood that like a good, you know, you could rap on a good beat and it could do a lot for you, inspire you, get you to write better. But when I started making beats and rapping on them, my beats were like not that good, so it didn't help me excel the way I wanted to on some rap shit,
Mm-hmm.
you know. So I think it kind of like just like once my beats got to a level that were like, oh, like these are like rap beats, you know, and I started really thinking about what I wanted to say. That's when it started making like the more sense where it fuels both of them. You know what I mean?
Right. Definitely. And like in the spirit of that, I wanna like briefly touch on like three projects that you dropped over the course of the last couple of years that really spoke to me and just kind of like display you doing all that fun shit. And the first
Yeah.
one that comes to mind for me is E-Town General, which dropped last year.
Yeah.
Like talk to me about like talk to me about putting E-Town General together. Like obviously like like for most people listening, you could probably guess E-Town is Elizabeth, like Elizabeth General type shit. Like like talk to me about putting E-Town General together and like what you wanted to say with those songs, if there was anything you wanted to say other than just like I do good shit. Like
Yeah, straight up. I mean, I was more on my, after dropping Prefix and Prefix got some good burn. Like that was another project that I felt like I was like, oh, this is cool, but it's common. You think back on certain things and you'll just be like, oh, okay, I could have did this a little better, like shit like that. But E-Town General was like, yeah, I was writing the songs and I feel like after I dropped Prefix and I started like putting out vinyl and shit, more vinyl, I just started feeling like amped up, like, oh, I like we got something going here.
right.
So I was like, in terms of those songs, I was just writing about, just feeling like, yeah, like this is like I'm about to start. This is like the start of what I'm about to be doing on y'all.
Oh, okay. So like you're saying that like E-Town General feels like it's like a bedrock type of project for like the I could see that honestly. Like
Yeah,
it's just like you on your stroll and just like really nah like seeing where you've gone since E-Town General, that makes complete sense to me and I'm mad I didn't put it together beforehand. That's hard though. I like that. Some
thank you, man. Yeah, that's how I seen it. I was like,
yeah,
let me write about where I feel like I'm gonna be soon. Real talk.
that's hard.
Like, and
And mm,
no, it just made all the sense once I actually dropped. Then it made sense. The shit that I'm talking about in that album is happening now. So I'm like, okay. Like it was a form of manifestation within my career.
right. Nah, that's super valid and like really beautiful, like like it's manifestation and then you went and did it. And another like and then the second one, which I think also kind of like which I actually can't remember whether it came before or after now, like correct me because I can't remember, but I want to talk about the Wizard Scroll because I just love the concept behind it and just like you
Yeah, Wizard
just
Scroll came out in 2020. Yeah,
so that came before. What the fuck am I talking
I
about?
think it was
But
like mid pandemic. I have it right here. Yeah, July 28th,
okay,
2020.
right, 2020. I couldn't remember if it was like the pandemic years, just like it's
Oh yeah,
all
no,
just
it's
like
over. Can't Shit is all over the place with that year.
yeah. But You know, like I remember you were like really gassed on it, and you were sending me stuff and like the cover and a few songs, and just like and just like considering all the talk that we've had about like MMO and sci-fi and fantasy shit, like you like just like seeing you kind of roll that project out, I could tell you were like really deep into it on not just like a surface level type of thing. So like what was it like being able to like take these concepts that you love so much and like make a project around them like the Wizard Scroll? Like, talk to me about that process.
Man, it was awesome, and it like that was like a eureka moment for me when I came up with that idea, and it made me realize like, damn, like so many ways that we could like show people what we like within our art. You know what I'm saying? It's
Yeah.
like, why don't I make a fake prequel to a video game I played on Sega Genesis and shit? You know what I'm saying? Like, and that shit ended up being like some crazy shit. Like, and I had fun with it because I knew it was pandemic type shit, and I was like, this is something that people are gonna enjoy. Like, they at their crib, like they could actually pay attention to this shit. So
Yeah.
it's like a funny ass project.
Yeah, nah, it's like real fun and just like interactive in that way. Just like it really gave me you know, it's weird. Like when you first sent it over, like there were like there were like the first like surface level comparisons to like Zelda and Dungeons and Dragons, but like listening to it, you ever played Jet Force Gemini before?
Yo, yes, on the N64. Oh my god.
Yeah. So like for some reason it just got me thinking about like Jet Force Gemini because like my older cousin used to play Jet Force Gemini a lot. And like I never got to play through the whole thing myself, but I watched like a lot of it happen, and just like
Yeah.
it just like brought me back to like that time of like marinating. I don't know why specifically Jet Force Gemini, but like just that was cool. You know, it
That's
gave me
fine.
that feeling.
That's
Like
fine. Yeah, my friend, my best friend, like me, Jeff Force Gemini, I fucking lost that shit. I don't know
man.
how. Like he bought. It was one of those things that he like left it. You know, you leave it at somebody's crib, and then you never grab it or you play it when you're there,
Yeah.
and then years pass and you forget, and then it's like 9 years later, and you're like, Jeff Force Gemini. Oh, that shit's at Brain's crib.
Damn. Like I got a couple games like that, son. I'm still holding on to a homie's copy of Mortal Kombat Deadly Alliance and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles for the old Xbox.
Nice.
It's somewhere in my house. Solomon, I'm gonna get you those games back, I promise. I'm gonna do it, I promise. I've been holding on to that shit for like 10, 15 years. But that shit is so funny. And and the last project I wanted to touch briefly on is Olive Branch with fucking Also Good,
Mm.
because I've really been marinating in that a lot, and I just spoke on the homie Fleece Dom's podcast about that at the on Envert about that last year, and like
Oh yeah.
yeah, like I really just love, yeah, like sorry, real quick, fucking I'm stuttering. Shout out to Envert, they're super dope. What's it called? Yeah, talk to me about Olive Branch and like and like connecting with Also Good, who, you know, like cause like you obviously like rap over other people's beats all the time, but I feel like you two had a really cool dope connection. So like how did y'all meet, and how did Olive Branch come together?
Shit, man. I remember once, he had hit me up to work, and I was working on a project, so he had like bought a verse for me, and he bought a verse for me, and basically it was like some dope shit, and he brought up an idea like a couple months later, like, yo, what do you think about doing like a 4 track or like a little demo and putting it out on this like distribution with me? They do numbers, this, that, and the third. So I was like, yo, if they could cut me and you a bag, like I'm with this shit. And he managed to get them to cut the bag. And he just started sending me beats. He sent me a pack, and I picked out a couple, and then um, made a couple tracks. We picked out like 2, 3, and then we needed one more. And I think that was uh, what was because I called it something different, and I always call it the name um, that I called it, and it's like, hold on, I'm about to tell you right
That's hilarious though. I like that a lot.
now. Force push, because I called it News 12, but for some reason it got called Force Push. I think I renamed it and then sent it like that, but then I was like, wait. But by the time I knew it, it was like over.
uh,
So we made that last song and then we put it out, man, and we got really good reception, especially out in Europe. Like, and it was great to make and connect with him and be able to like just do some dope shit overseas and connect dots. Because now I'm about to be in Europe and we're like it's very, very close, but we're gonna play a show together when I go to Italy. So
right.
we're just waiting on like some venue information and all this extra shit. You know what I mean? But once we get that information, then we'll be able to like post and all that. So
Right. That's hard. Yeah, like that. And yeah, like you're really a traveling man about town, like everywhere. Excuse me. Yeah, just like you're just like all over all the time. So to see you getting to jet off to go to Europe and really do the shit out there is that's gonna be beautiful. I'm I'm
yeah,
I'm, I'm
man,
hyped
thank
for
you.
you.
It's gonna be
Yeah.
dope, and I appreciate people like him who could like help me out because it's like like being indie and having to do a lot of this shit yourself, connecting dots, contacting people, making deadlines with your own shit as well as like getting people to email you back, line sign up. It's just like it's a lot of stuff. So people like that, they help with the whole traveling aspect. They help me with having somewhere to stay, getting booked, getting some bread in my pocket. You know what I mean? So I fuck with them heavy for that shit. You know what I'm saying? And
Yeah, bro.
it helps you explore the world. This is something I tell everybody as far as advice is like use, use your fucking phone. You know what I'm saying? And use the internet and contact people and talk to people. That's how
Right.
you get to go to other places. Like we're human. The first
Right.
thing that we love is that we could communicate with each other. Like we literally learned that throughout time, communication. So that's like key to everything. Communicating with people, touching in, like touching base, tapping in, making sure people are good, and lining up shit, wherever the fuck you're at, If you want to go somewhere and you know somebody, that's what you do. Like, so people like him, they really help with that shit.
Right. That shit is so real. Like I've been learning that myself over the course of the last couple of years through all the various shit that I got going on. And that's like I couldn't have said it better myself, honestly. Like that's like just
Yeah,
like communication and
the
yeah.
real people in this shit, it comes slim, but the real people in the game, in whatever game you're in, whatever, they're gonna help you out, man. They're gonna like put you in those positions. They're gonna want to do cool shit, and want to make dope things happen out of like believing in what you do.
Right.
And
And
vice
yeah,
versa.
sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's cool. It's like it's just vice versa. You end up doing the same. Like it becomes a working relationship and also a friendship like that works out. Everybody's winning. And even besides making music and doing all that, I have so many artistic friends that I don't even create with, but because of those like connections and staying in touch and all that, yeah, man, it
Right.
should just builds a good friendship.
Oh, for real. Like it's yeah, because like we're all people at the end of the day. Like like we hawk art and we have like I hate to put it like this, but like product to we want people to see and like, like it like just interact with, but like we're people at the end of the day. And like you can tell when people are tapped in based on like a real appreciation for what you do versus just like, oh, this will be a look,
Yeah,
like
exactly.
it
And
is.
it's those first steps that you take, traveling, meeting people, like those are the most important ones. You set those impressions early for
Right.
all the people that you meet and all that shit like that.
No, absolutely. And yeah, I'm happy once again you brought all that up. I got two more questions for you, and one is actually more about this business shit. Like like you're one of the first people I think of when I when I think about like independent artists on like their business shit, because you really push hard for that. You've really maintained this little like ecosystem for yourself, like between like beat placements and like all the different projects you put out, and just like, and it's like guest verses and just like the shit with like traveling to Europe. Like you really go hard on the business tip, and it's something that I've always been really impressed by. And like I was just wondering, like did that take time for you to develop that kind of like acumen and like just perspective, or like was that something you came into music with, like I want to turn this into a business? Like I know that's
No,
kind of
it's
like an
something I learned
esoteric question.
definitely. That no, it's fine. It's definitely something you learn over time. And I was only able to learn it, because I was blessed to be around the right people. My OGs like Fat Blood and Gene from Horror, or Gene and Edie, the whole Jersey clan,
Shout
respectfully.
out.
Yeah, like the whole shout out to my people, because that whole group as a exodia of different types of groups is just a complete package of all of that. Everything that you need to know. If you really observe him, you're like, oh, this is like character and taste and good art and like relatability, like all in one. Like, and I mean, it's biased because I'm from Jersey, so it's,
Right.
but whatever. That's why I learned it from. And then Fat Blood being the OG, shouts to my OG, he the GOAT, because as a visual artist, live visual artist and prop designer and just art director, like he's just a bunch of shit in one. He really showed me the way, as far as business as an independent artist and how you make this work. He's a little bit older, so he has been in those mid 2000s working with people who were coming up when the internet was scarce. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where he really showed me like, yo, move with the internet, but also remember these like key things you need to do as an independent artist that keep people like in tune. Like you could drop a great song, great visuals, that's great, but how are people collecting your shit? How are people talking about you outside of a digital link, outside of a YouTube video? You know what I mean? You need to like do the merch and all of that shit. And he showed me the way of doing it without a label, basically, because that's the type of people he worked with. He
Right.
came up with people like that, like who had to do everything on their own, like, so
Right.
it becomes one of those things like really hits you where you're like, damn, you learn all this shit and really makes sense to like what a grind really is and what a hustle really is, to be able to be in 100% in control of what you do. Like, like now, I've always been in control, but things have been at a really dope point where, I have great supporters and it's growing, and I'm really looking at like my shit and I'm like, damn, like this is like, I really made this shit happen with good people around me, the artists and features and, all of that shit, no matter what project it is. Every time it feels like that, where you're like,
Right.
all right, we doing something right.
It's a whole head bust for real. Like it's just like,
Yeah, so once I
like
realized that, I was like, oh, I gotta, I'm not claiming to be holding a torch of any kind, but I know what I'm doing. And I know people see that shit, my supporters and other artists and so many of my friends I've helped with getting their first record pressed, and that shit's amazing to see. Like when, your friend got his first record, like that's some real serious shit. You can't really
right.
can't go beyond that. Like that's like to me, like that's like the final piece of the puzzle and shit. It's real easy to put your shit on online for free, but are you willing to like invest and show people that they should take you serious? That's what Fat Blood taught me. Like you could be popping online, But how many people do you know that are popping online that is really getting a bag? And you know, it's not about like making money and getting rich and shit. I don't even care about like getting rich, and I never made music thinking like money would be like one of those things. Like obviously you think about it, but it ain't one of those things. It just kind of just happens. But the
Right.
fact that people support it is what allows me to keep putting out amazing quality shit that people they're gonna keep supporting and can't deny because they like what I'm doing and they could relate to it. That's what it is. They could relate to it beyond a social media presence and shit. Like
Right.
people could go over somebody's crib and they like, yo, have you heard this shit? I don't think you heard this shit. And it's like an art piece, man. Like, you know, and that's how I treat everybody's record, a piece of art that I buy. It's like shit is like a whole piece of art in itself, like, you know. So, but that's where it really, you know, the business shit really came in after when I put out my first record and was like, oh fuck, like people are actually buying this shit. Like I'm at shows, like signing them, like signing a record. Like I was like, and I'm not even super popping yet like that. But at that time, when From the 908 dropped, like, you know, I didn't even have the support system I have, like that grew into what it is now. You know, so just to feel that was like, oh, this is what I gotta keep doing type shit. Like, you know, people appreciate this shit. Like they appreciate the hard work. So
Right. Yeah, and like that shit is really, 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 really priceless. Like I can, yeah, like real quick before I ask my last question, like I had a similar experience. I went to go see I went to the Red Veil show in Brooklyn that
ooh,
happened last weekend. It was hard. Kid is crazy.
wait,
And
Chris Patrick.
yeah, right with Chris.
I saw
Yo,
videos, man.
son, that shit was lit.
Looked
It was
great.
crazy. He like it was my first time meeting Chris in person because he and I been good for a while, but like yeah, just like really beautiful to see all of them do that. But like people at the show came like shout out to everybody who's listening right now who came up to me and like told me that you like my podcast like that because like I gotta tell y'all like that was like I want to tell everybody now like that was the first time that had happened to me at a show and like to have like my man Garrett, shout out to Garrett, he came up to me and said like I look forward to your podcast every week. And I was like I like almost started crying. I was like, what do you mean you look forward to my shit every week? Like it's like it's just crazy being
It's a
out in the
crazy feeling.
world.
I'm
Like
happy you got to experience that because
thank you.
that's amazing, bro.
Thank you. Like I just, like we're nothing. Like I say all of that to say that we're nothing without the people who support us. Like they're
Exactly.
like they as much as I love doing what I do, like y'all are the reason that I'm here and we're here. So thank you for everybody who's ever reached out with kind words and donated and whatever. Like just like you guys sharing and supporting means the world. So thank y'all, like from both of us. Like
Straight up, because that's like the realest shit ever. You know, I made a tweet about that. You know, like you gotta appreciate the people that keep you up in this shit. You know, and that's your
yeah,
fans and your supporter. Well, you really your supporters. People tapped in. You know, like you know that type of shit definitely it means the world when someone comes up to you and they express like they see the hard work and they can feel it and you like that shit hits your soul like fuck yeah like I'm doing something right
uh,
here.
man, it's
It's a
like
great
I can't even describe it. It's just it's something else. And yeah, like last thing I wanted to touch on, obviously you got Big Brain coming out. Like it'll have been out by the time this episode drops, but like congratulations. Like
thank you.
you've been going up promoting that shit. So like real quick before we sign off, like talk to me about Big Brain and like putting it together and like what it means to you and like what is Big Brain?
Yeah, Big Brain is a just a very raw well put together explanation of where I feel I am and where I feel I'm going in a full length album. You know, I never dropped a full length album, so I really wanted to show people like how I could range with my beats and the way I transition all my songs in this album, because that's one thing I take, into consideration, like the way you're gonna listen to it and how it's gonna play out for you. And everybody's perspective is different on it, which is like my goal, So I want people
Facts.
to listen to this shit front to back, and just see what I'm trying to say about myself and how I feel about whatever the climate of music and where I feel I'm gonna be, and just creating it. Creating it was the key thing to it. It's like it's a pandemic album. I made it mainly through I started writing songs for it, without like the idea of an album, like right before the pandemic. So I spent that whole year and a half, or like a year and some change, almost a year and a half, and
Oh wow.
working on an album, making tons of songs, and eventually saying top of 2022, I want to drop a full length album, I want to really hit them over the head with the full length album, top of 2022. So that's what I'm gonna focus on, and I did drop Message to You and My Persona,
Right.
E-Town General, but that was through Copenhagen Crates. And those are songs that I was fucking with, but I liked the way they sounded together. So I was like, let me just put it for this tape. And then I'm gonna keep working on this album, because I had just material that sounded cohesively, the way it was coming together was really sounding like, oh, this is album shit. I'm making different shit now. So, that was really the creation process. All right, let me tell y'all how I've been feeling through this shit, and where I feel like I'm about to, what I feel like I'm gonna be on after I release this shit, or not directly, but just from here on out, the type of mind state I'm in, and what type of level I'm trying to take it to,
Yeah. Hell yeah. And I can't wait to hear it. I haven't heard it yet, but I'm real hyped to give it a listen and just really just sit with it and just I don't have any more questions, but just seeing the journey that you've been on over the course of the last 2 years, and just seeing where you're about to take it and everything, and I've really been leaning into Jersey Pride a lot these last 4 or 5 years in particular, and it's just amazing to see so many people, not even just from my state, but from my specific neck of the woods, just really come up and make an impact, between you and people like Chris Patrick, and just all the homies, your mystery guests, fucking Olive and Bar, shout out to Olive and Bar and Sharif, and every Jersey in general, on in every aspect is going crazy right now. But I've known you for a bit. You're a real good dude. You make great fucking music. And it's just, I'm just happy for you, son. I'm just happy to see good people go and win, so congratulations, and thank you again for taking the almost 2 hours to just talk to me about bullshit,
this is great. I love this type of stuff, man. This is what I'm always for, man. Sit down, good conversation.
Thanks for listening. Shout out to y'all for making it this far, and shout out to all the Black people listening too, because y'all really impeccable. Don't forget to subscribe, and tell a friend to come through next time. 1.